From that point, I think a bit of hallucinations here and there. Not really schizophrenia, but I can think at one point I thought of how I'm going to kill my mom and put her in a garbage bag and all that because I wouldn't be able to pay for her funeral. So all these things, it just builds up in your head.
Hi and welcome back to another session with Conversations with Sheara. Today's guest is a phenomenal woman who's been through a roller coaster ride in terms of her mental health struggles and obstacles. So she grew up in a fairly, good family, well educated, married the love of her life, migrated to Australia, worked at a huge bank in Aussie, and from where you and I would have seen her, she pretty much had it all. But after 33 long, happy years, things started to take a different turn. From depression to anxiety to bipolar disorder to even being suicidal. This lady is living proof that no matter how dark your days can be, there's always hope. She has started a charity called Fearless Charities, which we will talk about in a bit. She's also a contributor to the book Spiritual Conversations. And now, this warrior woman is on a mission to create so much awareness about mental health. I'm so privileged and honored to introduce to you Shmana Whittall.
Thank you. There's like tears in my eyes as well.
Hi Shmana.
Hi Sheara, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in. So, what does it feel like to go from depression to anxiety to bipolar disorder and even losing the will to live? How does it feel to be alive?
It's actually quite difficult. It's like a roller coaster ride, I guess. You can call it sometimes turbulent, sometimes scary, sometimes exciting, but you just don't know. Because I live both with depression and bipolar. Depression is a very low level of everything. You just don't want to live. But bipolar is like you can run the world, basically.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So what was your turning point? How did you know something was wrong?
To me, I felt like I was just losing interest in day-to-day activities. I was losing interest in catching up with my friends. I didn't want to talk to my family. I was living in Australia at the time, so I would generally call my mom like every once in 2 days, that kind of thing. But then I just stopped talking to them for weeks, and they were like, okay, that's something definitely wrong. So with small things like that, even at work, I got really quiet. I didn't want to go out for lunch, or I didn't want to hang out with people, surround myself with people. So that's how it all started, basically.
Yeah. So this is what's interesting, right? Looking at you right now, I could never tell that you have come through a story like this, right?
Yeah.
How would you say society needs to change how they view mental health, or even become more sensitive to the possibilities that people are sometimes battling a silent battle? What are your opinions on that?
Yeah, so at the time when I started going through what I went through, nobody knew why. It was like, oh my gosh, the loudest, bubbliest, craziest person has she's like dead, like what's wrong? So to me, myself, I didn't know why I was feeling so low. I couldn't find out what the triggers were or identify why I was feeling that way. So if I knew about mental health, if I knew more about depression, if I knew more what anxiety meant, all those feelings, I felt all that, but I didn't know what to do about it with myself. So seeking help, like in the initial stages, I remember when I felt it in 2017, January, I think. I didn't do anything until May or June. It had progressed really far. So at that time, I wanted to commit suicide, like, thoughts, ideas. You lose sleep. Insomnia is a big thing. So if you're not getting like your adequate levels of sleep, that's a big trigger point.
Yeah.
So to me, awareness is the biggest thing. I could have saved myself from all that if I was aware and if I reached out and got help, like from professionals.
Right. So before you experienced this, had you ever come across someone else who had gone through something similar, or it was all brand new to you?
All brand new, not
Wow.
to this extent. So I had never seen anyone so depressed. Like I've heard about depression, I've heard about people coming and telling me about their problems, even at work or at church, and I was like, okay, cool, just try and be positive. And that was a wrong kind of thing to say.
Right.
So I didn't understand it at the time. So I'm really glad in a way
Yeah.
that I went through it, and now I
course.
do get the entire gist of it, so I can help another person.
Yeah. It's so amazing how, it's not an easy thing to share, Shmana. The uglies of it, it's not an easy thing. How have you sort of gained the confidence to tell your story, not just to me or to someone else in private, but to the entire world?
That's a hard question, but from the time I was getting better, all I wanted to do was tell my story. That's all I wanted to do. So I went through this roller coaster ride of basically from depression, from a very low point to a very high point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's during that time that I wanted to talk about my depression because I wasn't feeling depressed anymore.
Yeah.
And I wanted to help the world and that kind of thing. That affected in my bipolar, disorder as well. So all I wanted to basically do, I think, even from childhood, I've just wanted to help the poor. I've wanted to, be of some kind of, value to the community. So I don't know if that's my journey, like to go through the lowest and the hardest level of everything just to, probably help the people in the hospital. So I was admitted to NIMH, the Angora Malaria Hospital.
Right.
And from there, I saw what I saw, and I know that people need help. So yeah, that's the journey itself, I guess.
So, in Sri Lanka, Shmana, as soon as you say Angoda, it has such a negative connotation, right? I mean, I remember times where when I was being really naughty, my grandmother would say, behave properly, others I'll go and put you in Angoda. You yourself have been there personally. What is it like? Would you like to change the perceptions, the negative perceptions that we have of that hospital?
Yes, of course. So when I got admitted first, they took me to Park Hospital, which is a private hospital for psychiatric patients. So when I went there, I was cooped up in this tiny room, okay, and the level of care was so wrong. I felt threatened all the time by the nursing staff. They just don't know what to do, But NIMH in that way, they're so kind, they're so patient, the nursing staff do, everything's in good order, yeah? But there's a lot we can do, obviously, like the conditions of the toilets, to the food, to all that. So when I was supposed to be put to NIMH initially, my family, because of the taboo, obviously, they said, no way. How can we put our child in there?
Yeah.
That's the kind of, decisions they had to fight with, I guess. And then my sister was very adamant. They said, she obviously probably had the brains. They said if there's something wrong with her mentally, she has to go to the mental hospital.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing keeping her at home?
Yeah.
So I mean, NIMH is a really good place. So that's how I started with, talking about my journey and what I went through, to tell people that the hospital is a good place. Like if you need it, if you've got cancer, you go to the cancer hospital.
Yeah.
If you've got an issue with some sort of disorder, mental disorder, go to the NIMH hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you spoke about how your parents had to battle these decisions, and you spoke about how your sister also had a huge part to play in your recovery. How does it impact your close family and friends? What kind of impact did it have on your recovery?
Okay, so to me, I don't remember 3 months of my life last year, so I don't even remember my 33rd birthday.
Oh my God. Okay.
But the level of support from the pictures, from the videos, everything, and even up to this date, how they talk about that journey wherever we meet, like maybe for a coffee or a dinner or a lunch at a friend's, whatever it is, this subject will always come up. So I know for the next 50 years they'll be talking about these stories, everything that's happened. I mean, it's funny to hear, but at that time they didn't know if I will recover or not. So it was that bad.
Yeah.
For me, I think the level of support I got was amazing. Morning, noon and night I had people come to see me at the hospital with bags full of things, and that's what they need.
Yeah.
That's what I needed.
Yeah.
I needed like to eat, I needed to, see people, I needed to talk, I needed to shout, laugh, dance, sing, all these things. So if the people in there, if no one's going to see them, then will they recover? Is the question. So I always think about that. I try to give my best to the hospital.
Yeah.
I can only do like for a couple of wards with myself, but that's why I've started the journey in registering my charity and all that, so that we can go further.
Sure. Okay. So we will speak about your charity in a bit, Shmana, but I'm curious. So from the story you've told me and from your book, Spiritual Conversations, I've come to learn that you've had bipolar, depression, anxiety, and sometimes even more other struggles. Were they all at once, or was it a journey through all of these? Would you like to shed some light on it?
Yeah, sure. So it wasn't all at once. It was one thing at a time, progressed differently. In 2017, like I said, I was feeling low, feeling quiet. All that led to anxiety, initial stages of anxiety. I was wondering why I couldn't breathe right and things. So after that, it led to me not sleeping well. So that was really bad, chronic insomnia. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't sleep. So that led to suicidal thoughts. If you can't sleep, you can't work, you can't earn, you can't pay your mortgage, that kind of thought trend. Then you're like, you don't want to put any pressure on your family, your loved ones, so there's no way out. So suicidal thoughts and attempts, and then severe paranoia. Paranoia was really bad, extremely bad. I can't talk about all of it, but from that point, I think a bit of hallucinations here and there. Not really schizophrenia, but I can think at one point I thought of how I'm going to kill my mom and put her in a garbage bag and all that, because I wouldn't be able to pay for her funeral. So all these things, it just builds up in your head. And then from that I went to a level of bipolar, which is the manic high. I wanted to clean the roads in Sri Lanka, I wanted to implement lane driving, I wanted to write this book, but I couldn't do much at all. It was all about, ideas. And then I wanted to be like Mother Teresa or Bob Marley.
All right, Bob Marley even. That's a new level of inspiration.
So all these, people who are very creative are in somewhat, bipolar or whatever, they've gone through that journey, I guess.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. One of the things that really touches me about you, Shmana, is how open and genuine you are. And you're so kind. So kind. So I'm curious whether this is an outcome or a lesson from your journey, or have you always been this kind of person?
I think my friends and family would say I've always been this kind of person. I don't think it's the outcome, but the outcome has made me realize there's more for me to do.
Wow.
It's that extra step I can take to help the world, or, help anyone understand mental health, help anyone understand that you need to give them the right level of support. Just, it's okay. It's just something with your brain. It's just a normal thing. We can all go through it. Stress is a trigger. We say stress, yada yada, but that can lead to mental health issues. So I guess it's just taking care of yourself.
I love what you said. It's okay. I think those two words are so powerful to, you're telling someone it's okay
to not be okay. It's okay to go through this. It's okay to get a cold. It's okay to get cancer. It's okay to get mentally unfit sometimes, because there's always a way back. So what tools helped you on your journey towards recovery?
Okay, to me, I was anyway a Christian, and when all this happened, I was a happy person. I was in church. I was singing in the worship team. I had gone to the peak of my life. Like, I had a very good job, built our own house, to marriage, everything was good. And I'd come every year to visit my family here. But obviously something triggered and all this happened. And I forgot your question.
Yeah.
I forgot your question.
That's okay. So, we'll speak about the trigger as well, which is fairly interesting. And my question to you was what the tools were that helped you in your recovery.
So, being a Christian, I thought all this was due to a spiritual attack, that all this was happening to me.
Yeah,
Okay, so I lost faith in God. I lost it completely. So, to me, I always relate myself to the story of Job in the Bible, where you're tested and tested and tested, but if you remain in Him, He'll remain in you, kind of thing. So, after I got better and during hospital, I saw a bit of like a vision. I saw a vision of Jesus getting bruised and battered through this patient who was in hospital, who actually went through something I didn't want to see. So there are many things we can change in the hospital as well. Okay, I'm not going to go into detail.
Yeah.
But what I saw, just thought, oh my God, if she's suffering so much, just imagine how much Jesus suffered. So from that, like, even though I had lost faith in God, like, if I sneezed and you said bless you, I'll be like, you're freaking crazy. Who are you to say bless you?
Yeah.
No, God bless, whatever. So I had lost so much faith, but then I gained it, through certain things. And also, speaking of me recovering, it would be spiritually.
Yeah.
And I also look at mindfulness. I looked at things like doing yoga, Bikram yoga, to help me, keep myself a bit fit and active. I started my old job slowly but steadily. Support. The level of support you have around you is very, very important. They can see your triggers, they can see what can affect you. So I think, your family and friend circle needs to be really tight. The people who have been there for you from the very start, continue to have that thread going.
Okay.
You don't need new people, really. If that's there, then that's really good.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
How long have you been better?
So I've been better for more than a year now.
Amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. So I've been off medication for about a year. I was supposed to take it lifelong, like minimum 5 years to lifelong. But obviously I've weaned myself off it because I couldn't function on it. So it's been about a year now.
Yeah. And do you fear going back to it?
Yes, so sometimes I think, you can suffer some days with anxiety and all that, but if at all I lose my sleep 3 days in a row, that's when my psychiatrist has told me to come and see him, that I might have a relapse, and that's totally cool.
I love how brave you are about it, but of course I think things are going to be different for you because, before, when it happened, you didn't know what it was. You have no idea what was going on, as opposed to now, you're much more aware. And I suppose that is where Shmana's whole mission of creating awareness stems from.
That's right,
Yeah?
yeah.
So, speak to me a little bit about your book. Where can our listeners or our viewers get it from?
Yeah, so I've got, this is published in Australia, so it's through Samantha Jensen Publishing. She was in my school as well, so I bugged the life out of her that I need to publish my story.
Amazing.
Even from hospital, I would be calling her and saying, I need to write my story. So it was published this year in February. I've got copies myself. I haven't put it out to the bookstores yet.
Okay.
Which I'm planning to do that in Sri Lanka in the next year or so.
Lovely.
Yeah. I just set timelines of what I can do when.
Realistic timelines as well. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, when we started the session, we spoke that you have created a charity, right? Can you speak to me a little bit about it, and how will people contribute if they, are inspired by a story, hopefully, and surely they will. So how will they contribute to you?
Sure. So basically, Fearless Charities came about just suddenly. Last year, I went through this manic high, and I thought, oh my gosh, I was so fearful the year before. I wanted to kill myself, all that. And then I went and got this tattoo done called Fearless, which meant something to me because of my journey.
Yeah.
So after I got that tattoo done and stuff, I went into hospital, came back out, and then I started talking about my story on social media. So when I started talking, I got like really good feedback and responses and views and all that. So I wrote a little about what I went through, then I spoke about it, and then suddenly I, created my page again. Like I wanted to, keep it going. So from that, I'm really happy to say, like, it's not even been a year, but we've got, quite a bit of help, a lot of help actually. People who are in the committee are people who have just approached me. Some people I know, some people I don't even know. And that's about 10 of us helping already, like, properly committed to the work we do. So we've had like 2 fundraisers, both in Melbourne and in Colombo. One in November, one in February this year. And we've raised over 450,000 and completed about 7 or 8 projects.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I am very curious to know what Shmana Whittall's future looks like. What's up her sleeves?
So I think with me, I've always been in banking.
Okay.
So I've resigned from a bank job.
Okay.
I don't want to go back to the corporate world. I feel like there's more to do in this aspect. So I've been creating awareness. Took like a 4-month break from Australia to see scope in Sri Lanka. What can I do here?
Yeah.
So I've been doing different awareness talks, thanks to IIHE and you guys as well, who gave me the opportunity. So I've been doing a few talks at schools, universities and corporates. And then the next would be obviously to come and work here full time, hopefully.
Yeah, wow.
And then through the charity, hopefully I can do more, with foreign funding and all that for the hospital.
Amazing. Amazing. I have a question for you. I hope this is not too much, but what impact would you like to leave the world with?
That's a tough question, but I think the start has been really good. So the feedback I'm getting is really good.
Yeah.
And I want to continue with that, with my heart. Like, I don't want to think of anything else. Like, nothing moved me more than seeing those people in there suffer. Nothing moved me more in life to see the level of support I got and the level of support they get at this stage. So even when I walk into that hospital, they're so excited to see me.
Right.
So that's my passion, that's my dream. That's me spending time with people who need that love, affection, attention, care,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's all about mental health for me.
Amazing. I love it. I love it so much. So tell our viewers how they can follow your journey. Can they find you online?
Yeah, so it'll be through my Facebook page. It's called Fearless Charities. You can message us there. And then Instagram as well, calls us Fearless Charities.
Beautiful.
I'm sure. Yeah,
Okay, so I'll definitely put the links to all of that down in the bio as well. Before I let this magnificent woman go, I need to ask her one final thing, and that is, if there is anyone out there who's struggling mentally, who does not feel their best, but does not have the courage to reach out to someone, what would your message be to them?
My message to you is, obviously you would know what you're feeling, you would analyze yourself, so try and get a little bit of support, someone who would really understand you. If you can't speak to anyone in your family and friends, I'm there, so I'll direct you to the right level. We've got psychiatrists and psychologists, counselors, any type of help you need, lived experience people who can also help you just to have a chat and make you feel better. So it's okay. Like mental health is nothing major. It's just like we were saying, like diabetes or cancer or high blood pressure. It's just in your brain. You can't really assess it. There's no way you can measure it. So it's fine. Like, you know, you can go through different disorders, but there is help.
Thank you so much, Shmana. So that brings our session with conversations with Sheara to an end. I want to give a big shout out to this warrior woman, Shmana Whittall. Make sure you check her out. Her story has touched my heart so much. I bugged her so much to get her here to come and speak to you, because I know the impact and the inspiration she gives is life-changing. I also do want to give a big thank you to my friend Lakecia, who very kindly let us do this recording here at Park Street, Trattoria. I will put some details about that. She and I are coming up with an exciting offer for you as well. So keep tuned or stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for your time. Make sure you like, share this story with your friend, and comment on what your views are, if we have missed out on anything, or if you would like to see anything else in our next session. And make sure you follow Fearless Charities, and I'll put all the information in the link below. But thank you and take care.